Now, the mother of Jay Slater, who went missing over 2 weeks ago during a holiday in Tenerife, says words can't describe the agony that she's experiencing. Searchers have failed to uncover any trace of the 19-year-old.
Debbie Duncan thanked the Spanish police for their continued help, and she's asked for privacy for her family. She also calls conspiracy theories and speculation on social media extremely distressing.
Well, joining us now is senior global reporter at the Mail Online, Nick Pisa. Good to see you this morning, Nick. And what do you make of this statement from Jay Slater's family? You can hear their pain and agony, can't you?
Yes, it must be really difficult for them. We're now more than 2 weeks since Jay disappeared here on Tenerife, and despite that extensive search involving drones, dogs and helicopter, absolutely no trace of him. And that search, as we know, was called off on Sunday, and the police are now saying that they are keeping the investigation open and looking at other lines of inquiry, but they're refusing to go into what those other lines of inquiry are. I can tell you that yesterday I was back up at Masca, and by chance I was having a cup of coffee in the bar next door when I noticed that the forensic police were back at that Airbnb where Jay went back to following that after party at Playa des Americas with these two mystery British men who the police have deemed irrelevant. But you have to ask yourself, if they're irrelevant, why were the forensic police back at that house, at that Airbnb? They refused to discuss what they were doing there. They just said the usual, if you want to know anything, call headquarters. So that's where we are standing at the moment. Yeah.
As you bring all that up, Nick, of course, we all ask ourselves, what happened? His phone battery was on 1%. He then lost the signal. He'd gone a certain distance in a certain direction. And you think, well, it could be quite possible that he could have turned round and maybe gone back to that house again, and they're all looking in the wrong area.
Well, we know that when he left that house, and as you say, Damon, he made that call to his friends. He did stop a local lady and ask her the way back to Playa des Americas, and she told him that the bus was at 10 o'clock, and then she pointed down the valley. He had to go back down the valley towards the coast. But she then told us that about 10, 15 minutes later, she saw him walking the wrong way back up the hill towards the Masca Gorge, which is where the police have focused their search the last 2 weeks. They say that's where his phone pinged, and that's where they've been concentrating all their efforts. And on Saturday, they had that one final push calling for volunteers to come and join them. And they had about 6 people who came and joined them, as well as about 20-odd firefighters and mountain rescue teams. And like I said, they spent the whole day up there and found nothing. Interestingly, the following day, I spoke to an expat army guy who's out here, and he also went back up through that Masca Gorge, and he found a pair of sunglasses, which he did stress, we have no idea if they're connected to Jay, but he said as a duty of care and as a due diligence, as part of that search and investigation, he was told to pick up those glasses, put them in wrap them in paper tissue, not put them in a plastic bag, and hand them into the police. So the police are examining these glasses to make sure that they aren't connected, or if they possibly may be connected. But one thing that he did say was interesting. He said to get through that undergrowth, you would have needed a machete, he told me, and that's where his phone pinged. And he just finds it unbelievable that Jay did end up in there, because it's just such a difficult terrain to cross. And in fact, he said if his phone was there, someone possibly threw it in there.
And that terrain is potentially what's making this search just so difficult. I wanted to ask you about conspiracy theories, because Debbie Duncan mentions it in her statement, doesn't she? She describes the speculation on social media as extremely distressing. What do you make of what you've seen in the past 2 weeks on Tenerife and also online? I believe the Facebook group for the missing Jay Slater is at over 500,000 members. I mean, the public is captivated by this.
They are. It's quite actually sad to look at what some people are saying on social media. You have to remember that at the end of the day, as a father and a mother, and also his brother Zach is out here as well, his friends, they just have no idea where they are. And then to read some of the vile abuse that is being thrown at them, it's just awful. In fact, her friend Rachel Hargreaves has posted on these forums, look, please bear in mind that we have parents who don't know what's happened to their son. If you wouldn't say these things to your own children, please don't say them to us, because it is just absolutely vile. And I don't think we should give it the time of day, some of the stuff that's being thrown around out there.
But without a body, without evidence, without anyone knowing where he is, the questions, the theories will go on and on, Nick.
They will do. That's you're absolutely right. Because I suppose what does cross my mind is just why on earth would he walk up that hill and then, as the police seem to think, turn left off the main road and then walk through that gorge? They're following a line of inquiry that perhaps he thought that if he could get to the coast, he could turn left and head back towards Los Cristianos. But as that army expat guy told me yesterday, why on earth would you do that? You would just stick on the main road. You know, the bus was only in an hour away. So why not just sit in the bus stop? Why not? There's cafes up there. Why not just sit or even thumb a lift back? It's just, yeah, it is. There are so many unanswered questions to this, as you say.
Yeah, that is the ifs, the whats. Absolutely, we all think about that. Nick, thanks for bringing us up to date. We look forward to hearing, hopefully, some good news from you sometime, and we'll speak to you again later in the week. Thank you very much indeed.
Well,
but Nick's absolutely right there. I mean, I think if this was me and at 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever, you're tossed out of this house and you have to make your way back. Well, I could just look at it and say, I'll just wait till the bus comes.
Yeah.
Or I'll wait till the traffic starts here or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
Why on earth would you start walking at that time of the morning and go into the wilderness?
Yeah. Well, it's such a mystery, isn't it? But you don't know what state he was in. You know, he's at an after party. You don't know if he's very drunk or, you know, and people aren't always with their right minds, are they?
Yeah.
In those kind of situations. So this is the thing, we don't have any information. And how can somebody just disappear into thin air?
We've got some good information about you being abroad, which we'll talk about as soon as we do the news headlines.
Oh, will we?
And then we will.
Oh, we're going to share that, aren't we?
Are we going to share that?
I don't know. Are we?
You could just roughly tell me.
Or maybe we can do the headlines.
Maybe we just bypass all that.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do the headlines. You have a little thing.
Oh, yeah, OK.